Okay, so in the last Nintendo Direct, Splatoon 3 was announced out of nowhere. There weren't any leaks of Splatoon 3 being announced, no one predicted it, but next year Splatoon 3 will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch. Now, whenever a new game is announced, I love to think about all the new features and things that we could see in whatever that new game is. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about 10 things that Splatoon 3 needs. The Battle Royale genre exploded back in 2018. Fortnite was headlining the news, and every other week a new Battle Royale game was being released. And Nintendo being Nintendo strayed far away from this trend, which was probably for the better. However, I would love to see a Battle Royale mode added to Splatoon 3 as maybe a limited time mode that appears every once a month. This doesn't have to be anything too insane, like maybe just 25 or 30 players jumping out of a plane with nothing, and then collecting loot and fighting to the death. Every player would have their own ink color, different weapons and gear would be lying around for people to loot, and the last person left alive would be crowned the winner. I don't see how Nintendo could really mess this up, as the concept of a Battle Royale mode is pretty simple, and as long as this feature is just a limited time mode that appears every so often, then I can't see why this would really annoy anyone, as if someone doesn't end up liking it, they can just go and play regular Turf Wars. Squid Jump was this simple yet fun minigame that you could play in the original Splatoon when you were waiting in between matches, and literally everyone loved it, and so Nintendo removed it in Splatoon 2. Like, what the fuck? So in Splatoon 3, I would love to see this minigame return. The minigame basically just consisted of jumping up platforms as a little squid, so it wasn't anything insane, but it was a fun way to kill the time in between matches, and so I want to see it return in Splatoon 3. For some reason, Nintendo just refused to add voice chat into their games, and instead make you use a fucking dogshit application on your phone to talk to people. Like, how hard would it be for Nintendo to just implement voice chat into Splatoon 3 so that you're able to communicate with your team? Obviously, there would be some people who say some rude things, and so to combat this, Nintendo could just set some strict rules on what you can and cannot say. Then if someone breaks those rules, they can just receive a voice chat ban. It's that easy. As we all know, the Splatoon series and most Nintendo series are in third person, and this third person camera angle that most Nintendo games have generally works well. However, when Mario Kart 7 released, there was an option to change the camera angle from a third person view to a first person view. Now this blew my 10-year-old mind. I just found it so fucking cool that I was seeing through the eyes of my racer. Like, in my mind, I had basically just become Yoshi. So I think it would be pretty cool for Splatoon 3 to implement a first person option. This would obviously be just an option that you could turn on and off whenever you please, as the Splatoon series suits a third person view, so there's no need to fix it if it isn't broken. But I do think it would be neat to have the option to see the battle through the eyes of the Inklings. Back in 2014, when Splatoon released on the Wii U, playing Turf Wars was just so much fun. However, the game's single player content was not the best. It was just very basic, and there weren't many levels at all. Then when Splatoon 2 released, Turf Wars was back, and it was better than ever. And there was Salmon Run, which was something brand new. And you guessed it, the single player content was shit, once again. But down the track, Splatoon 2 received the Octo Expansion Pass, which was a huge improvement to Splatoon 2's single player content. So in Splatoon 3, I want to see the same quality of single player content that was in the Octo Expansion Pass, but I don't want it to be DLC and to instead just be part of the base game. Deathmatch is a mode that appears in most online shooters, such as Valorant, CSGO, and in most, if not all, Call of Duty games. And this mode is always a really fun spin on the main way to play the game. So I think Splatoon 3 should receive some type of deathmatch mode. Now, how would this mode work? Well, I'm glad you asked. So it would be pretty simple, with it basically just being 2 teams of 4 racing to get 50 kills or splats, and whichever team gets 50 kills first wins. This would be a nice way to mix up the standard formula of Splatoon, as this mode would encourage players to go for kills instead of trying to cover the stage in paint. In Splatoon and Splatoon 2, there is no option to play just plain old Turf Wars in split screen with another player, which is just so dumb. Like, why is this not an option? Literally every shooter that's on any console has the option for split screen local multiplayer. But nope, Nintendo just have to be different, and this needs to change in Splatoon 3. Like, all this does is piss people off. Like, why? Why is this not a thing? Now that I've spoken about the 7 main features, options, and modes that I want to see in Splatoon 3, there are 3 more things that I want to see included in the game that aren't anything too important, but I still want to see them included in Splatoon 3 though. The news presented by Pearl and Marina in Splatoon 2 and Callie and Marie in Splatoon is very similar to the news in Animal Crossing New Horizons. As not only is there no option to skip the news in Animal Crossing New Horizons, but the news is just pointless. Like, just let us click a button to skip the news. And for the people that for some reason enjoy the news, they can sit through it. There you go, everyone wins, just let us click A to skip the news. Personally, I'm not one to use the photo modes or camera features in games, but I know that there are lots of people who enjoy having an in-game camera and photo editor available to them. And while you can take photos in Splatoon 2, what you can do with them is pretty limited. And so in Splatoon 3, I want to see Nintendo make the camera system more similar to how it works in Super Mario 3D World, as I think that 3D World snapshot mode is pretty cool, and and I think it would work great in Splatoon 3. And the final thing that I want to see in Splatoon 3 is the inclusion of Nintendo items. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but in both Splatoons there are no items in the game that are from any other Nintendo franchise. And while this isn't a problem at all, I would love to see some Zelda items and some Mario items and whatnot in Splatoon 3. And with all that said, it's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments if you're going to pick up Splatoon 3, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel for more Nintendo content, and yeah, thank you for watching.